Hey ARMY, stop whatever you're doing right now, because if you missed what happened after BTS's Madrid concert on June 26, 2026, you are going to want to hear every single detail. And I mean every single detail. Because what went down after that stage went dark. After 66,000 fans walked out of Riyadh Air Metropolitano with tears on their faces and purple light sticks still in their hands, it was something that reminded every single one of us exactly why we fell in love with these 7 men in the first place. So grab whatever you're drinking, get comfortable, and do not go anywhere. Because this video is going to take you through the entire night, from the historic concert stage, all the way to the moment Jimin, RM, V, Jin, and Jungkook opened up Weverse Live and gave us something we are never going to forget. But before we get into all of that, if you are new here, welcome. This channel is your home for everything BTS, everything Jimin, and everything that matters to ARMY. Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on your notifications, because content like this is exactly what we do here every single week. And today, we are going all the way in. Let's start from the very beginning. June 26, 2026, Madrid, Spain. Madrid was the starting point for the European leg of the BTS Erarang World Tour, marking the end of a long wait for thousands of Spanish fans. And when I say long wait, I need you to understand what that actually means. Spain, a country that has had ARMY for over a decade. Spanish fans who have been singing BTS songs in stadiums they could only dream of BTS ever stepping foot in. Fans who had their concert dreams crushed when the Map of the Soul tour was cancelled back in 2020. Spain was actually part of that cancelled BTS Map of the Soul tour. So this night, June 26, 2026, was not just a concert. It was a promise finally being kept. It was 6 years of waiting finally collapsing into one electric Friday night at the Riyadh Air Metropolitano Stadium. And the energy, oh ARMY, the energy was something else entirely. More than 66,000 people, according to sources from Atletico de Madrid, attended the group's first of 2 shows at the Riyadh Air Metropolitano on Friday, June 26th. Before the night even started, thousands of light sticks lit up the stands of a stadium completely energized, a vibe that carried through from start to finish. Can you picture that? 66,000 ARMY, packed into one of Europe's most iconic football stadiums, all of them holding up their purple ARMY bombs before BTS even walked on stage. That is the power of this fandom. That is the power of what BTS has built. And the excitement was palpable even outside the stadium, with hundreds of fans gathering nearby to follow the concert from a distance, singing along to every song with the crowd inside the venue. People outside the stadium, singing along, because they could not get tickets, but they were not going to miss being part of this moment, not even from the sidewalk. That is ARMY. That is us. Now let's talk about the set list, because if you are going to understand exactly why that post-concert Weverse Live hit differently, you need to know what BTS just put their bodies and their hearts through on that stage. The show ran from 8:30 p.m. to 10:45 p.m., which means these men performed for over 2 full hours, non-stop, with the kind of energy that makes you forget they are human beings and not supernatural forces of nature. The setlist included Hooligan, Aliens, Run BTS, They Don't Know About Us, Like Animals, Fake Love, Swim, Merry-Go-Round, 2.0, Normal, Not Today, and Mic Drop, and that is not even the complete picture, because on top of their Erarang album tracks, every single night of this tour BTS performs 2 special surprise throwback songs just for that city. And Madrid surprise songs? Madrid, Spain on June 26, 2026 got Airplane PT2 and Outro Wings. Let that sink in for a second. Outro Wings. In Madrid, on Spain's first ever BTS concert night, Outro Wings, one of the most emotionally resonant, vocally overwhelming pieces in BTS's entire discography. If you were in that stadium when those opening notes started playing, I genuinely do not know how you survived. That is the kind of surprise setlist choice that makes you realize BTS is not just performing, they are curating an emotional experience specifically for the city they are standing in. And Jimin. Let's talk about Jimin specifically, because of course we are, because this is a Jimin channel, and because Jimin did something at that Madrid concert that has been echoing across every single corner of ARMY's universe for the past 24 hours. With the help of an interpreter, Jimin delivered one of the most emotional moments of the night. "I kept thinking, why are we only visiting Spain now? For the next tour, we won't leave Madrid out." The stadium erupted with excitement, closing a night that ended a long wait for ARMY in Spain. I need you to sit with that for a moment, because that is not a scripted line. That is not something a PR team put in a teleprompter. That is ParkJimin, standing on a stage in front of 66,000 screaming Spanish ARMY, feeling the weight of that moment so deeply that he looked out at all of those people and made them a promise. He said out loud, "We won't leave you out again. We see you. We feel you. And we are going to come back." That is the Jimin we know. That is the Jimin who feels every room he walks into at a frequency that most people cannot even comprehend. And Madrid felt that. 66,000 people felt it in their bones. Now, the concert ends. The lights come up. 66,000 fans start filing out of the Riyadh Air Metropolitano, still processing what they just experienced. And most people, after performing a 2+ hour concert in a 66,000-seat stadium, would go straight back to their hotel, collapse, and sleep for 12 hours minimum. That would be completely reasonable. That would be the human thing to do. But BTS is not most people. And Jimin especially is not most people. Because what happened next, this is where this video truly begins. BTS went live on Weverse the night of their first Madrid concert on the Arirang World Tour on June 26, 2026. They ate together, and the whole atmosphere was described as funny and relaxed, which, honestly, is so on brand for BTS that it almost makes you emotional. These men just gave everything they had on that stage. They just made history as the first K-pop act to headline a stadium in Spain. They just performed for 66,000 people who waited 6 years for this moment. And instead of retreating into private celebration or rest, they turned on a camera. They went live on Weverse. Because for BTS, the concert is never really over until they have checked in with ARMY. And who showed up? Jimin was there. RM was there. Kim Taeyang was there. Jin was there. Jungkook was there. 5 members of BTS, gathering together after a historic night, letting ARMY into the room. That is 5 out of 7 members. That is almost the whole group, sitting together in the afterglow of one of the most significant performances of the Arirang World Tour's European leg, choosing to spend that time with us. Think about what Jimin must have been feeling in that moment. He had just stood in front of 66,000 people and made them a promise about coming back to Spain. He had just performed Outro, Wings, as a surprise song, a song that carries so much weight, so much history, so much of what BTS has been through. And then he sat down with his members, probably with food in front of him, and he went live. Not because he had to. Not because a schedule told him to. Because he wanted to. Because that is who Jimin is. Someone who, even after giving everything on stage, still has more love to give when the cameras roll. The energy of the live was reportedly warm and full of laughter, the members eating together, being themselves, being the genuine chaos and comfort that ARMY has always known them to be. And let's be real for a second, the fact that it was 5 members on that live is something we need to acknowledge properly. Jin, who came back from military service and slotted right back into this group like he never left, bringing that signature energy and humor that makes every room louder just by his presence. RM, who has been the emotional backbone of this entire Arirang era, the one who articulated the meaning behind the album, behind the tour, behind everything BTS is trying to say to the world right now. Kim Taeyang, whose quiet intensity and warmth always somehow manages to ground every live, every room, every moment he is part of. Jungkook, who performs with the kind of full-body commitment on stage that should honestly be physically impossible, and then somehow still has the energy to show up on a Weverse live and make ARMY feel like the night is just beginning. And Jimin, always Jimin, who we have already talked about but who deserves to be mentioned again in this context because the way Jimin exists in a group setting, the way he interacts with his members and simultaneously keeps one eye on ARMY in the comments, is something that never stops being remarkable. These 5 men, together, on camera, after a 2-hour+ stadium concert, choosing to eat, to laugh, to just be present with each other and with us. And what makes a post-concert live like this so different from a scheduled interview or a polished content drop is exactly that. There is no agenda. Nobody is promoting anything. Nobody is hitting talking points. It is just BTS being BTS, in the most unfiltered version of themselves available to us. The kind of content that fan translators scramble to subtitle as fast as humanly possible because ARMY around the world refuses to wait. The kind of content that gets clipped and reclipped and analyzed and reacted to for days, sometimes weeks, because every frame of it feels like something real. That is what Madrid gave us on June 26, 2026. Not just a concert, a whole night. And that is something really worth talking about because it speaks to something deeper about BTS in this era. We are now well into the Arirang World Tour. The Arirang World Tour is the ongoing 6th concert tour by BTS in support of their 2026 studio album, Arirang. The tour began on April 9, 2026 in Goyang and spans more than 88 dates in 34 cities across 23 countries. That is a massive world-spanning tour. And at every stop, from Seoul to Tokyo, from Tampa to Mexico City, from Las Vegas to now Madrid, BTS keeps finding ways to give ARMY more than just the concert itself. They give us these moments, these unscripted, unfiltered, genuinely human moments where 7 men sit together and just exist in front of us. That is rare. That is actually extraordinarily rare in an industry that carefully polishes and packages every interaction between artists and fans. And BTS has done it consistently, tour stop after tour stop. The post-concert Weverse Live After Madrid was just the latest chapter in a long history of BTS refusing to let the connection end when the stadium lights go off. Now here is what makes the Madrid Live particularly significant beyond just the members present. Let's zoom out for a second and look at the context of the entire European leg of the Arirang World Tour. Before arriving in Madrid, BTS had just wrapped up the North American leg of their tour with concerts in the United States and Mexico. In Mexico City, where they performed 3 shows at Estadio GNP Seguros, the group was received by President Claudia Sheinbaum at the government palace. So by the time BTS landed in Madrid, they were already coming off one of the most extraordinary stretches of the tour. They had performed multiple nights in Las Vegas, conquered Mexico City with 3 stadium shows and a presidential meeting, and now they were kicking off a brand new continent with a city that had been waiting for them for years. Tickets to their concerts in South Korea, North America, and Europe were sold out within a few hours of the pre-sale and general sale. And days before the BTS Madrid concert, fans were already arriving in the city from France, Germany, Italy, Portugal, the United Kingdom, and many other countries. The official BTS pop-up store attracted long lines every day, while fan gatherings, trading events, and photo spots appeared throughout Madrid. Local media described the city as being filled with ARMY ahead of the concerts, creating an atmosphere usually reserved for the world's biggest sporting events. That is the context in which Jimin, RM, V, Jin, and Jungkook sat down on Weverse after that concert. They were not just exhausted performers who had finished a show. They were men who had just absorbed the accumulated energy of tens of thousands of fans who had traveled across Europe to be in that room. Fans who had been planning for months. Fans who had flown in from Portugal, from Italy, from the UK. Fans who had been crying in the stands before the show even started because they still could not believe BTS was finally there. And all of that energy, BTS absorbed it, and then they turned around and gave it back to ARMY through a Weverse Live. That is the cycle of love between BTS and ARMY that has been going on for over a decade. And watching it play out in Madrid, in the context of the Arirang World Tour, feels like watching something that was always meant to happen. BTS returning from military service. BTS dropping Arirang, an album rooted in Korean identity, in heritage, in the word that literally represents the soul of a nation. BTS going on a world tour and visiting countries like Spain for the first time. The Arirang World Tour marks BTS's return to live performances after completing their mandatory military service. And then, after all of that wait, after all of that history, sitting down to eat together and laugh together on Weverse Live. Because that is who BTS is. That is the part that never changes, no matter how big the stages get. And Jimin specifically, I want to come back to Jimin because I cannot overstate how significant his role was in the emotional arc of that Madrid night. The moment he looked out at that crowd and said, I kept thinking, why are we only visiting Spain now? For the next tour, we won't leave Madrid out. That was not just a fan service comment. That was Jimin doing what Jimin does better than almost anyone in this industry. He makes you feel seen. He makes 66,000 strangers feel like he is talking directly to them and only them. That is a gift. A completely inexplicable, unreplicable gift. And then he carries that same energy into the Weverse Live. The same warmth, the same presence, the same commitment to making ARMY feel like they are part of what is happening. There is a reason why every single time BTS goes live after a concert, ARMY goes absolutely feral. There is a reason why the fan-made sub-videos of the Madrid Weverse Live are already circulating everywhere and racking up millions of views. Because we do not take these moments for granted. We know what it took to get here. We know what 2 years of military service felt like, of watching solo activities, of counting down discharge dates, of missing this exact thing. And now we have it back. We have BTS performing together. We have post-concert Weverse Lives with 5 members eating together and being chaotic and warm and everything we missed. And knowing that makes every single one of these moments land differently. Heavier. More precious. More like a gift we are not willing to waste. So if you somehow missed the Madrid Weverse Live, and look, it happened in the middle of the night for most time zones. So no judgment, I need you to go find it. Fansub versions are already out there. Go find the clips. Go find the moments. Go find Jimin in that post-concert glow, sitting with his members after making history in Spain, being exactly the person we know him to be. And then come back here and tell me in the comments what moment hit you the hardest. Was it the concert itself? Was it when Jimin made that promise to Spanish ARMY? Was it seeing 5 members together on Weverse Live? I want to know. Drop it in the comments right now. And here's what you need to remember as we move forward into this European leg of the Arirang World Tour. After Spain, the trek continues throughout Europe and Brussels, London, Munich and Paris, before concluding on March 14th, 2027, in Manila, Philippines. So we are far from done. There is so much more coming. Brussels is next, then London, then Munich, then Paris. And every single one of those stops is going to bring moments just like this one. Moments where BTS gives everything on stage and then turns around and gives us even more off it. This channel is going to be here for every single stop, every recap, every Weverse Live breakdown, every Jimin moment that breaks the internet. We're going to cover all of it. So if you have not subscribed yet, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications. And make sure you share this video with every ARMY you know, because this is exactly the kind of content our community needs to stay connected and stay informed through every leg of this extraordinary tour. The Arirang World Tour is not just a series of concerts. It is BTS writing history in real time. And Madrid, June 26, 2026, just added one of the most beautiful chapters to that story. A chapter that started with 66,000 fans, lighting up a Spanish stadium for the first time. That continued with Jimin making a promise to come back. And that ended, or maybe more accurately, that opened into something else, with 5 members of BTS sitting together after midnight somewhere in Madrid, choosing to be with us one more time before the night was over. That is BTS. That is Jimin. That is why we are still here, all these years later, and why we are never going anywhere. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. It genuinely helps this channel more than you know. Drop your favorite moment from the Madrid concert, or the Weverse Live down in the comments. And I will see you in the next one. Purple you ARMY. Always.